Hey, what's going on, everybody, man? My name's Riley. If it is your first time seeing my face on YouTube, go subscribe my channel and leave a like on this video. On today's clip, we're bringing y'all a wild case about a man that believes he's a furry is now the face behind 3 murders. Now, this one sounds crazy. We're not going to waste no more of y'all's time. We're just going to hop straight in. Let's go. O'Reilly. Alright, y'all, for more of this clip, make sure you're comfortable, grab something to snack on and something to sip, and let's do this video together.
A man obsessed, a self-proclaimed furry, found guilty of plotting the murders of 3 people so he could be with a teenage girl. I dive into the details of...
I hate America, bro. Don't take that liberally here. I hate people that live in America like this. This is unreal.
This sad and bizarre murder plot out of California.
This is unreal.
And why the case isn't over just yet. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. This case goes back to 2016. It's bizarre, but more than that, it's incredibly sad. 33-year-old Frank Felix has been convicted of helping plan and carry out the murders of 3 people, including a mother and stepfather in Fullerton, California. It all began when Felix met Jennifer Goodwill Yost's 17-year-old teenage daughter at a furry convention. First of all, you might know what a furry is, and then maybe some of you don't, so let's talk about that. Furries are people who like to dress up as animals or creatures. The furry fandom is a global phenomenon. Hundreds of thousands of people identify as furries, and they've created their own subculture worldwide. The furry community is made up of artists, gamers, and role players, and this online community is local and international with dozens of conventions held annually. Now, Felix was a part of this furry community, and he was obsessed, according to the Orange County DA, and he became infatuated with Jennifer Yost's teenage daughter. And I have to be clear about this. Jennifer Yost was also a furry, as was her husband and her teenage daughter. Felix and the teen became romantically involved, which concerned Jennifer and her husband, Christopher. So when the Yosts expressed their disapproval over the 8-year age gap, that's when Felix voiced his feelings on Facebook using another first name. I was the only person to really satisfy you in all ways possible. Sad thing I know is you are trying to kill all those feelings and try and never come back to you, but you will. It's in your nature. I just hope you're going to regret everything you've done to me and everything you could have done and live with that guilt you've out on yourself every day. And 4 days before the murder, he messaged a friend discussing his plan. I might be assisting someone in murder. Wow. Later in the conversation, he adds, it's just killing an animal. On September 24th, 2016, the Orange County DA says Frank Felix provided a shotgun and ammunition to kill Jennifer Yost and her husband, Christopher Yost, the 17-year-old girl's stepfather. Joshua Acosta is an Army veteran who's now serving life in prison. He's already been convicted for shooting and killing the Yosts and their house guest, Billy Butcher. Acosta shot Jennifer in the face as she slept, and then shot Christopher as he tried to escape through the patio door. The 17-year-old girl, according to the DA, had already left the house and was in a vehicle with Felix before the shooting started. Sadly, the Yost's 6-year-old and 9-year-old children found them dead when they woke up. Can you imagine? The teen is now in her 20s and was given a form of immunity to testify against Felix and Acosta at their trials. Felix will be sentenced in January. The Orange County DA, Todd Spitzer, issued the following statement. 2 little girls, 6 and 9, went to sleep not knowing the last time they would see their parents would be when they woke up to find them shot to death. The trauma inflicted on those little girls, compounded by the loss of both of their parents in such a violent way, is beyond heartbreaking. Violence is never the answer, and a sick and twisted plan turned into life behind bars for 2 young men. I want to bring in Adante Pointer. He practices law in California. Adante, I feel like we always talk about these just truly horrific cases. This one is absolutely awful. We have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old girl waking up to find their parents murdered in horrific fashion. Now we have the alleged mastermind convicted of murdering not only Christopher Yost and his wife Jennifer Yost, but their house guest as well. So your thoughts on this case?
It's the type of case, if you will, scenario that you see play out in movies where someone comes into the home in the still of the night and commits some type of atrocities like this. Never did you think it would play out in real life, and it does, and it did, unfortunately and tragically here. The type of situation we have is the one that you would expect, that these are the type of people, now that they're convicted, that should never see the streets again. Period.
And I want to ask you
Banished from
about that
their
because
demons.
Acosta, the person who was convicted of being the actual shooter in this case, he is already serving life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, Frank Felix will be sentenced in January. I can't imagine. I mean, he's been convicted of 3 counts of murder with special circumstances. I can't imagine that the judge in this case will not sentence him to life in prison without parole.
I don't see it going down any other way. I mean, he's, as you mentioned, you know, they, at the end of the day, 3 people were killed, all of them innocent, all
Tragically.
of them in their home in the most vulnerable of position, all because an adult essentially wanted to be with a minor child who was soon to become an adult. Violence is never the
You hear what he said, right? Should I go back?
end of the day, 3 people were killed, all of them innocent, all of them in their home in the most vulnerable of position, all because an adult essentially wanted to be with a minor child who was soon to become an adult.
3 people lost their life, and even the cherry on top, 17-year-old about to be 18. 3 people lost their life because a sick man, grown ass man, wanted to be with a teenage furry. I guess that's unreal to me. That's unreal. Not even 3 people, the parents of that child and their house guests. That could be extended family member. Who even knows? That could have been their grandma. You know what I mean?
Violence is never the answer, and here there was a gratuitous
I don't think
use of
that's love,
violence.
bro. That's
I
crazy.
would I would bet all my money, if you will, that the judge is going to ensure that whatever sentence is meted out, that he will never see the light of day outside of a prison here in California. He'll spend the rest of his life behind gates and bars, and will die there as well.
You
Is my
better, bro.
prediction.
The facts in this
If not,
case
ship him
are
over here to
so
Florida.
particularly strange. And we have a 17-year-old
Life
girl.
sentence.
We're not identifying her because she was a minor back then. And, now she's not. She's an adult. But she, I guess, is in some respects considered a victim. But I'm a little bit, I'm kind of going back and forth on that because she was 17 at the time. She went out to the vehicle. She may have been kind of under this guy's spell and coerced by him, but she was obviously on her way to being 18 years old. She was given some form of immunity to testify at these trials. I don't know if she could still, be charged in some respect regarding this, but it's just absolutely heinous. But he was obsessed with her, according to the DA. He became so obsessed that he orchestrated these horrific murders. I mean, her mother, Jennifer, was shot in the face as she slept with a shotgun by Acosta. And they met through this furry subculture where they dress up as cats. I mean, mostly it's cats, but it's other costumes as well. So talk to me about this aspect of it. This man becoming obsessed with a 17-year-old girl that he meets through the furry culture.
Every parent's nightmare, that your minor child somehow comes across a deranged adult who then cajoles, persuades, and essentially coerces them into a relationship that turns deadly. And this is a situation, the furry culture, as you mentioned, people are dressing up as animals, as cats. It's not thought of to be violent in that way, but it turned that way because of the deranged mind of Acosta and what what his co-defendant put together here. And so, although she was 17 and technically a minor, you have to believe that she wasn't so much under the spell that when she heard 3 shotgun blasts go off in her home, and what you would think, given it's a shotgun and the way it was used, that Acosta comes out covered in blood. She knew what had taken place. And if she still, she may have been in panic and fear, but for her to kind of go along with this plot at that point, is just jaw dropping and it's shocking and frankly, it's sickening. But I also understand the prosecution likely gave her immunity because who else was going to be there to tell the story? You only had the two people involved, the two co-defendants, and her. The kids were asleep, and the other three witnesses, unfortunately, victims, were dead. So I understand the prosecution was probably in a little bit of a pickle in terms of finding a witness who could tell the story and ensure a conviction.
Yeah, I mean, quite the pickle. I mean, this is just horrifying to me. And
She knew what
we
she was
found
doing.
photographs of the furry costumes. I mean, it's this is kind of this whole interesting part of this. And I mean, I hate
Does she
to
have a
hate
minor
this
thing on her
photographs
tag? Y'all
of
seen
the
that?
furry costumes. I mean, it's
She was like, I'm guessing that's because minor of age, right? She had like a little minor under her.
this is kind of this whole interesting part of this. And
That's
I mean,
wild, bro.
I you hate to even call it interesting because it's so terribly sad. But the parents were involved in this furry thing too. I mean, they were obviously the whole family liked doing this and dressing up in the costumes. It's a big deal. I guess this is what a lot of people do. And I guess Frank Felix was also a brony, which is, I don't know if you know about this, Adante, but I'll tell you, it's where men like My Little Pony, and they're really into it, and there are brony conventions all over the place too. So it's my understanding he was into the My Little Pony stuff too. But it's like they get into these different things and then they have these big conventions about it. It's just very sad to me that the whole family is involved in this whole furry culture, and then somehow she meets this guy through this and this unfolds. Do you see any way, because there are different forms of immunity? There are different forms of immunity. I mean, all different kinds. There are kind of like blanket immunity deals. Is there a way that the DA possibly charges her in some respect, even though she did cooperate and testify?
Well, a part of immunity deals at times is that the person is granted immunity if they tell the truth and if they take the stand and participate fully and completely in the prosecution of the defendants. So if the DA takes a position that she lied, covered up, didn't participate, then perhaps the immunity deal is broken and they could prosecute her for what her role was in these senseless killings. But that'll be up for the DA as obviously a judge too, because I'd imagine if the DA were to move to try to prosecute her, the first thing her defense attorney would say, they would bandy around the immunity deal and say, hey, she's free from being prosecuted. The DA cannot proceed. So I'm sure that would be a hotly contested motion, if you will, if the DA were to proceed upon that way. But given the DA got 2 convictions and in the magnitude, and these people were sentenced to multiple murders with enhancements and so on and so forth, it might not be something that the DA would actually pursue unless, once again, she broke the immunity deal agreement or they find some other aspect of what took place here that wasn't covered by the terms of the immunity agreement.
I mean, just a really horrifically sad case. I mean, there's nowhere really to go with this any further. I mean, you've got Acosta, who's already serving life in prison. Felix will be sentenced in January. I'm sure he will appeal. So the case, I guess, will end. But there still is, it sounds like, a possibility, possibly, depending on the level of immunity the 17-year-old girl now in her 20s was given, that other charges could be filed.
Yeah, the case, oftentimes when people go to trial,
for it, man.
The case does not end at conviction. There are a number of appeals that take place. There's a number of reviews that'll take place by appellate courts. And so the case, although this phase may be coming to a conclusion, this horrific tragedy will still continue to be played out and discussed and debated in courtrooms and in legal briefs for years to come. So we'll have to stay tuned as to the developments. But as you mentioned, it's such a heinous act, such a tragedy to take place. And I'm sure this family, especially her parents, who may have introduced her to the furry culture, did that with no type of clue or idea or intent that this would be the murderous conclusion of the family's participation in something that's akin to Comic-Con or
the worst thing is that's probably just eating them up inside. They introduced their daughter to this, thinking it's a loving community, which, newsflash, it's not. There's tons of stories. I think this was the first story like this in this community. Maybe not them killing the parents, that's pretty rare, but them minors linking up with these adults in these conventions. I see tons of stories on it, and it's honestly disgusting. That's why when I see that little minor tag under her name, that right there is just like, what? Like, why are we describing if you're a minor or not? You know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to be look at this. Look at these two people right here. Why are we describing what's a minor or not? It's supposed to be just a little convention, right? That's crazy to me, bro.
Anime. Just sad all the way around.
Yeah, most certainly
parents,
not.
though,
I'm
man.
sure they never, ever, their minds never went here. Well, we will keep an eye on it. Thank you so much, Adante Pointer. We appreciate your time as always.
Absolutely. Till we meet again.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up right here. This one was super tragic. The whole bloodline of this family really just took a huge blow, all because of, like this man said perfectly, senseless murders. Senseless. It was stupid. Yeah, I'm really, honestly lost for words for this, man. I hope these two guys rot. I hope the daughter can really just know what she did, because she had to have some role in this. If the man is just now getting convicted for a murder that took in 2016, that means this case was probably cold for a little bit. That means she wasn't opening her mouth up about nothing. That's years on years, man. So you're kind of harboring, I wouldn't say harboring a fugitive, but you're knowingly being around these people that took your family's life, and the other bystander that was there as well, in front of your little sisters that have to wake up and see that in the morning. Like, that right there, for you to be somehow granted immunity, that's crazy to me. She definitely needs to serve some time, because she definitely had a role in this murder. That's my opinion. I want to know what y'all opinions are down in the comment section. I'm going to be answering every single comment left on this video. Other than that, we're going to roll this outro. Let's go. Alright, y'all, we're going to wrap this one up right here. If you this type of content, I'm going to link a playlist right in the video. It's going to have all the reactions on there for y'all to check out. We'll be dropping 5 videos a week here on the channel. We've also go live on YouTube, so that's 2 great reasons. Go down there, subscribe to the channel, join the family. Hit the notification bell so you know when we do upload the videos, so you know when we do go live. I hope to meet some of y'all on the live stream. Hopefully some of y'all watching this video, if I'm live right now, can come over to the live stream and say what's up. And yeah, we pretty much just stream games that y'all recommend in the comment section. We just vibing out, chilling. So if you're interested in that type of content, come say what's up in the live streams. And yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up right here. Other than that, I appreciate you watching to the end of this video if you have. And y'all have a blessed day. Peace.